Good evening from sacred space at Titania's realm. The time is 5:34 p.m. on the 31st of May 2025. It's a miserable rainy day. It's been raining since I woke up this morning. It's been a bit shitful if you ask me, but it has to rain sometimes for the garden and the trees and the birds and the wild animals and for our water supply. So I've been practicing gratitude in that regard, but I barely noticed that it was raining because I've been so busy today. I've been sitting in my studio keeping company with my little birds Kermie and Bo, who are slowly, I can't say that they're friends with me yet, but I'm slowly growing on them. I let them out of their cages individually, but in my actual studio, let them have a little bit of a flutter around, but they actually don't know what to do with freedom. They're actually quite frightened, their little hearts are racing, and I get scared they're going to have a heart attack, so I grab them and put them back in their cage where they feel comfortable and safe. It's terrible, really, to be a caged creature, and so then I tried to train Kermie to sit on the perch I made. It's kind of like a wand, but it was a perch for Charlie. She used to sit on and perch on it, and I'd walk around the neighbourhood with her sitting on this beautiful perch I'd made, and I even inlaid PowerShell into it with her name and little love hearts. And anyway, Kermie does not understand at all the point of that stick or that wand or that perch. He alighted on it a couple of times and immediately freaked out and flew off. But I guess if I do it every day and keep shoving it in front of his little feet and going, on your perch, which is, I didn't have to train Charlie all that much to do it. She just, I don't know, she was a unique individual. She just knew instinctively what to do. And she liked her freedom. She liked going around the neighbourhood with me. Unless I took her late in the evening when it was getting dark, because birds freak out about, sunset and feel very unsafe when it's turning from daylight into dusk, into the sunset, into the night. They get very, very frightened. So I learned very quickly to not take her at that time of night because she'd be really quite freaked out. There were a couple of occasions when we got caught out because I was talking too long to my neighbour Peter Lawrence or his elderly mother Elsa, or I'd get distracted by some other thing and I'd say, I have to go, it's getting dark, Charlie would freak the hell out. And they'd laugh at me, but she really did. She'd put her wings out and she'd flutter in real distress. And I didn't like that because I was always scared that although she couldn't fly, she might actually somehow manage to get enough uplift and disappear. And at night I'd never be able to find her and be dangerous. So anyway, so the moral of that story is, long-winded moral of that story, is I'm going to try and train Kermie and Bo to sit on that perch from Charlie. I've got two sticks that I use, and I probably won't take them around the neighbourhood for quite some time, maybe even years. It will depend how accustomed and how bonded to me they get and how confident they are if I get them used to going around the garden. Of course, I'll have to clip one wing so they can't completely disappear. But yeah, that's the goal. Train them to be tamed down, comfortable with the mama tea, and then we'll go for walkies around the neighbourhood like I used to do with Charlie and Beauregard, and even the cats used to follow us back in the day. It's actually quite delightful. I'd look like the Pied Piper of Hamelin. I'd be walking around the neighbourhood. There'd be the dog, the cats, the bird all following in a single file. It was lovely. Memories, sweet memories. So anyway, I had them out for a little while, not too long, as I said, they got a bit freaked out, and I can't have them out at the same time because I let Bo out and he flew on Kermie's cage, and Kermie spent the whole time trying to bite his feet off. So yeah, he really would attack him if they were out free at the same time. So that's problematic because I've got to get them, I've either got to keep them separated or I've got to somehow train them to accept each other, which is against their nature since they're opposite species and their instinct one is to kill the other. Bo wasn't the least bit bothered actually for a little cockatiel. He just stood there with his foot, and every time Kermie went for his little foot, I'd be like, shh, shh, get away from him, get away from him. And even Bo's looking at me like, why are you being so overprotective, Mama T? And then Kermie actually copped him one, and I went, now do you understand? Bo's like looking at me like, now I get it. But anyway, they are the cutest little things. They're very cute, but they're not Charlie. There'll never be another Charlie. She was like me, right out of the box, an anomaly. So I was thinking about her a lot today, how I miss her and her little antics. But it's okay. So then about 1 in the afternoon, I've posted on Instagram, and I can't show you now because I'd have to go in their room and wake them up. It's not really fair, but I had this piece of metal that I hang my, gifted to me by my friend Peter Sloan, Lynn's husband. He's very kind to me. Both of them are very kind and generous to me, and they always give me little, he gives me little bits and pieces to help with my silversmithing, and Lynn's helped and supported me a lot over the many years, especially when I had my massive fucking breakdowns and life was really awful. She's been solid, staunch supporter through many, many awful tribulations. But anyway, Peter had given me this metal, I think it's aluminium, it might be steel, I think it's aluminium. But then aluminium's not all that magnetic, is it? So it's probably steel. Anyway, he'd given it to me some years ago to use to hang my jewels pliers off. He said, this will be perfect for you. And it was gifted to him by his neighbour, Steve, who's a metal fabricator. So they gave me a few bits and pieces, which was very kind, actually. Helped me out when I was first starting to, buy tools. The other thing they gave me was some used drill bits, because Steve, working with steel fabrication, said they were useless to him because they were too blunt to cut into steel or metal. He said, but they'll be okay for me to use on wood. And at that time I was making wooden beads out of ebony and little rosewood scraps and little, what was the other wood I had? Oh, and I had little scraps of wood that another friend of theirs had given me, little offcuts from his, he made knife handles and pens, so he just gave me little scraps so that I could make beads. That was also very kind. So everyone sort of pitched in to help me and motivate me with my creativity, and I was building up a bit of stock for my silversmithing that I had just started with flatware. At that time I hadn't started working with sterling silver yet, and I was making things out of silver plate, which I quickly discovered I don't like working with. I'm too elitist. I like to work with things that I know are good quality, and then if I get stuck with it and it doesn't sell and times get tough, I can always melt it down, turn it into ingots, am I right? With silver plate or EPNS, it's just, to my mind, stuff that's going to lie around for 100 years and not actually do anything with it. So anyway, eventually I swapped over into buying, when I could afford it, a few pieces of real sterling silver flatware, which I enjoy working with, and I've decided to stick with that, even though I can only buy little bits at a time in increments. I'm okay with that. But anyway, this must have been 2021 when Peter gave me that holder for my pliers. They really wanted to encourage me because for years and years I was very mentally ill and couldn't crawl out of bed and couldn't function. So all my closest friends were actually quite excited when I found something I was passionate about that I actually wanted to get out of bed for and actually put all my resources, monetary and energetic and mental and physical and spiritual into. And so I was thinking about that today. I was feeling very happy today and very happy and kind of grateful, and I look out at the shitty rainy day and I think, oh well, I don't really care because I'm in my studio with my little birds and I'm not alone. I've got my birds for companionship now. Isn't that sad? That's all I've got left. It's 2 little birds that were gifted to me only recently, just over 2 weeks ago. So 13th of May they arrived. So what's that? Today's the 31st. Yeah, 2.5 weeks. So it's amazing how people, people I acquaintances or people I haven't known for very long but even long-term friends, how they literally spoil me lavishly and gift me things to just boost me along a little bit. I was a bit hesitant about taking on the birds because I'd had 3 months of not having any responsibilities at all. No, I was grieving Charlie, but I was getting used to the idea of not having to get up in the morning and change her water and check on her and all that added, responsibility. So I did hesitate, but I'm glad I took them in now. I really am. I'm even thinking about buying a new, he needs quite a large cage, Kermie, but the cage cost about, I think it was $700, $800. So I'm thinking about buying that, and just a big outlay and a big expense, but his one that he's got is quite large and good enough size-wise, but it's got lots of metal sticking out and it's hard for me to get in to clean. So I'm thinking about it. I think I've mentioned that in videos before, so you can see I'm mulling it over in my mind whether to go and spend the money or not. But I haven't yet because it's a big outlay. And I think I decided in my other video that I would wait till it starts getting warmer at the end of August to decide then. So I know what I'm like. I can be quite impulsive when I get my mind set on something. So I may not wait till the end of August. But anyway, I had a good look at his cage today while I was sitting there, and I thought he's perfectly contented in it. I don't need to rush out and buy him a new cage. I just need to go with the flow and work with what I've got and be grateful and not stress about things, which I sometimes do. I sometimes get a little bit stress myself out when I have plans and things that I want to bring into fruition, and also conscious that I need to stretch my money for as long as I possibly can. So it's like this. It's like a sliding scale. It's like, and then I catch up and then I move forwards, and then sometimes I get stuck with anxiety and sometimes it's a backward slide. So it is a bit like that with my mental states. But anyway, so I was sitting there looking at this metal piece. It's like an L shape, and on the bottom I sit magnetic trays that hold tools that I'm going to be using every day or likely to want to grab quickly and have close at hand. So I have them. I sit on the bottom of this metal piece, and on the top I hang a few jeweler's pliers. I've got to replace them because they're like the shitty little ones. So I actually need to replace them with really good quality ones, but good quality jeweler's pliers cost a lot of money. So I've just made do with what I already have purchased. My better quality pliers I have on another wooden wooden plier rack, and that little metal one. I just usually have my shittier pliers that I don't use often. But I looked at it today and I had a chuckle. I thought I have them all set up as if they were wonderful quality, and I'm proud of it. It's actually quite childlike. But I know that there's shit and they need replacing, better quality, but it doesn't bother me for now. Baby steps. I'd rather buy Kirby a new cage. So she clears her throat because I'm nervous about that. But I think that's what I'll do. So anyway, but I'm staring at this rack, and from the moment Peter gave it to me, it was just an offcut that his friend Stephen, I can see where Stephen even soldered two pieces together to make the back of it, and but the edges were always very sharp. And every time I'd reach over to get my shitty pliers, that the little miniature ones I sometimes use for winding little jump rings, or just quick little jobs that I don't want to do a big job, I'll just use them for that. So every time I reach over, I didn't cut myself or anything, but it would feel really sharp. So I was staring at it today, listening to podcasts on YouTube, which is how I keep myself busy and have company too, listening to people giving interesting discussions. I'm really enjoying Ross Coulthart's UFO shows, and but I watch all kinds of paranormal and interesting shows, and sometimes I watch things about politics, and that was depressing yesterday, so I thought I won't be doing that because it'll just freak me out. I've just watched a thing by, I can't remember what his name is, Stefan Burns, telling us that there's big plasma shock waves coming off the sun, causing potential interference in our communications and technology. And, he's an expert in that, so it's probably accurate, but it's all a bit of bloody fear-mongering for my liking. I'm just like, oh, Jesus, But it's funny, because I'm very sensitive to changes in atmosphere and energy, and I have been working for 3 weeks, even before the little birdies arrived, like the devil put a fire under my tuchus, doing the strangest, oddest, nonsensical, but not really nonsensical because they're useful, but odd jobs. Like I had a few days where I spent, screwing wheels on the bottom of wooden crates from IKEA, and an old drawer I had, because I like to have wheels on the bottom of things to store under the bed so I can quickly wheel things in and out if I need things. It's a bit odd, but it just works better for me. And then I spent an afternoon screwing wheels on the bottom of my very lovely wooden magazine rack, and then making a better base for it, like tidying up the base. Used to belong to my mother, and it had gone a bit loose and old, and the wheels had fallen off because I'd only glued them on. So I sat screwing them down, and that was 3 days ago. Now, I tell you what, I was as happy as a pig in mud, sitting on a cushion in the garden, screwing wheels on that little crate, little magazine rack. So today's madness, today's mishugas, as we call it in Hebrew, mishugas, craziness, was I looked at that metal rack and I thought, I've had it for years now. I can't even remember when he gave it to me, but it must be at least 2 years, I think maybe 3. And I'm like, why am I living like this thing that's not working how I want it to work? It's not perfect. It's not functioning how I want it to function. Why am I living with all this disarray and things half-assed and discombobulated? And this has really been a theme of my last few weeks. Wanting things, made so I can utilise them to their highest, most productive, beneficial outcome, right? Screwing wheels on boxes. wheels are rolling down the road. I mean, you have to laugh. So, because it was a shitty day today, and I couldn't very well do the soldering that I wanted to do. I wanted to solder the embellishments on my new cuff, but I don't want to do that in the studio with my birdies there because fumes. And I normally put them outside when I do soldering now, but couldn't because of the rain. So I thought, what can I do that won't impact on the birds, that will kill a few hours and leave me with something that's, productive and satisfying and make me happy and entertain myself. So I pulled all the little magnetic trays and which was a bit of pulling everything off, all the little pliers off that rack, and I took it outside and I had a grinding stone and I put it in my Dremel and I sat and I ground all the sharp edges off that whole rack, which took me a few hours. Didn't finish till about 4 o'clock. Grinding. Then I got I can't even think of the word. You can tell I'm tired. I can't think of the words. A sanding drum with some rough sandpaper drums on it, and I sanded all the rough grinding off I did and made it really smooth. Oh, it's professional. I'm so proud of myself. Anyway, and then I brought it in and I put everything back how I like it with the little metallic trays that actually Lynn had given them to me one time. So these will come in handy for your jewellery tools. And you know what? They're the best, one of the best little knickknacks. She gives me lots of unusual, quirky things. But they are one of the best things she's ever given me because they get used every day. And I put my little spanners on that I need for my little Smith torch, and I have my little electronic screwdrivers in it. And then I got the idea for the first time ever. I don't know why I didn't think about it before, because I used to have the other metallic magnetic tray in my actual drawer. And it was annoying because all the things would stick to it in my drawer, and I was like, oh, this is grinding my gears. So I got the brilliant idea, like it was almost like a stroke of genius, because it's very magnetic, putting it on the facing part of the rack. So I have one facing and one flat. And because they're so heavy and magnetic, it still held everything in place. Clever, Mama T. But, I've had that thing for 3 years. I don't know why I didn't think of that before. It's like, duh, it's really obvious. Didn't enter my mind till today. It's funny, you sit and you stare at a thing every day, and it was grinding my gears. The fact that I had to have those two magnetic trays separate, and the fact that the edges were sharp. And today I solved those two little annoyances in one afternoon. Bing, bang, boom, babies. Gee, I'm proud of myself. Sometimes I have these little strokes of genius or intuition. Sometimes they're spirit-led, but I don't think that was spirit-led this time. It was me. It was me, my own idea, looking at it going, let's just see if that works, if I just lap them like this, And it worked. It worked perfectly. And then I worried that the pliers wouldn't sit over the top, but they sat fine. It works fine. So I put a photo of it on Facebook and Instagram, and my friends are probably like looking at it going, why the hell should you put a photo of this? Like, it'll seem so weird. But unless they go and look on my YouTube video, they won't have the full story of why I was so proud of that little invention, am I right? Well, not an invention, but innovation. Making things work for me. Because I've decided the more I can make things work for me, how I like it, without causing me stress or irritation or consternation, the better I'll be able to put out creative flow, am I right? But, well, for that I need more silver and more money, but I'm not bothered. Everything's ready. Everything's perfectly ready now. Even lifting, that's the other thing I did last week, was I lifted my jeweler's bench up higher and how it traditionally should be. And I tell you what, I'm enjoying sawing out things now with my jeweler's saw because it's chest height how it should be, and I can see better and I have more control and not hunching down, looking way down like I used to. It's bloody marvellous. I'd throw a party, but nobody would bother to come, would they? Oh, well, maybe they would. You just don't know. But anyway, we'll just carry on with reading now. Man, myth. Oh, before I carry on, the other thing I did after I finished sorting all that out was I went and had some lovely chicken soup that I cooked last night. I was ravenous. And then I made, just before I came on here, I made cheese, mushroom and turkey breast, pressed turkey breast from Aldi. Toasted sandwiches, so I got a full tummy and I'm satisfied. I didn't realise how hungry I was because I've been literally go for days as if the world was going to end, and now they're telling us we've got plasma flares coming our way, so the world's not going to end, people. But I've been very busy, Mama, too. And then the other thing I did, that's right, after I did all that, I got a little picture frame that I bought recently for these lovely cards that Jared made me. You can see too up there. And there was one in my bedroom that still wasn't framed. So I put that in one of the two remaining little frames and hammered that onto the wall. So that was another job that had been left uncompleted that I've now completed to my satisfaction. I was really happy about that too. And this house is, someone walking in here doesn't know me, like some new person. They'd have no idea, but this house is schmick. I've got everything in order, everything in its perfect place, a place for everything. And I'm going to buy 2 or 3 more wooden crates from IKEA and 2 or 3 more sets of wheels because I'm obsessed now about, storing more things under the bed. It's not good to put things stored under your bed. It blocks your chi, but it's a spare bed and no one ever sleeps over, so it's fine. I should actually sell that bed, get rid of it because no one ever stays over. But I know the minute I get rid of that bed, someone might say I need somewhere to stay for a day or two, or I'm coming to visit from somewhere and I'll regret not having that bed. So I keep it for that reason. But I bought the mattress for it. Was just a cheap little mattress. I bought the mattress for that bed when I got my small inheritance in 2012, and it's my old 4-poster bed. It's just a metal frame, and I hang clothes off it now, so it acts as an extra wardrobe for me. And so that mattress is, it was only a $300-400 like rubber mattress, but it's still bloody pristine. I think I've only had a friend Karen stay over a couple of times years ago, and I think she's the only one that slept on that bed ever. So it's still pristine, still as good as new, I guess. Anyway, I'm going to be more creative with my storage and put things in boxes and wooden crates under them because I don't like having plastic boxes in the house, plastic crates. Hate fucking plastic. I've got, a fair bit of it because I had to for my art and craft stuff, but I'm gradually getting rid of that. It's going to all go in wooden boxes and be under the bed. on wheels. So when I go, oh, where's such and such? And I'll have to label everything because I'll forget. But I'll be like, oh, where's such and such? Oh, yeah, it's under the bed. Oh, it's in this crate. And I'll have it, don't worry. I'll have it super duper organised. I'm so impressed with myself. I don't know what's come over me. It's almost like a form of OCD or ADHD. But my psych says I don't have ADHD because I asked him. I said, I haven't suddenly developed ADHD, have I? No, he says, no. All relates to my complex PTSD, which is a burden enough as it is. But anyway, so then the other thing I did this afternoon, this is a long musing, I haven't even started reading yet. The other thing I did this afternoon was I had a look at my fleece collection, a fleece that I was gifted by Peter and Lynn Sloane's daughter, Danny Sloane. And a couple of years ago, it was before Beauregard died, it must have been 2022 because he died on 1st of August 2023. So that winter I carded all this lovely, beautiful alpaca and sheep's wool fleece that Danny had gifted to me, which was access to her needs. And I've been storing that. And then I read somewhere that fleece, because it needs to breathe, because it's, it's wool, it's organic, and it's not good to keep that in plastic either. So I put it all into cotton pillowcases, and it's still in a big plastic bag that used to hold a doona at one stage that I bought when it was new. So I thought, oh, I'm not keen on the plastic. But anyway, I also found in one of my, and I'd had them set out for weeks in my kitchen, one of my bench seats. I found these 2 cotton bags that had originally held my 2 hammocks. And I thought, those bags will be perfect for putting the fleece into so it can breathe. So they've been sitting there for weeks. So this afternoon I looked at them and thought it's time I did something with those. I brought them out for that reason, and they need to be put to use now. Another job being completed. Silly little things, but it feels good. It feels really good. And so I went into my fleece collection and pulled stuff out, put them into the little, because they're smaller bags, I put the smaller amounts in there, and I labelled what they are. Like the one I labelled was the fleece I'd worked on recently that Belinda had given me, and it needs plying, but I had to knot it all because I didn't know what I was doing, so I don't know what I'm going to do about that. I've probably ruined it, quite frankly. But anyway, I put it into one of the little bags that, held my hammock, and put a label on it and with a reminder that it needs plying. The other bag I put some alpaca into, put a label on that, and then there was another small bag that I'd had years ago that had held, I don't know what actually, bright orange cotton bag. So I had some fur left over from when Socks was alive and from when Sophie was alive, and I used to brush them and collect the fur. So I put that in that orange cotton bag and I labelled it Socks and Sophie's fur to be spun with some other fibre ? So I've got it all labelled and all professional, and then, if I get silly and start getting forgetful down the track, I've got it all written out, what it was for and what to do with it and what it's ready to do. And God forbid I should die, if my daughters go through it, they'll know what it's for and what to do with it, although they'll probably just throw it out because they don't know anything about spinning fleece or alpaca or sheep's wool, and I neither do I really, I'm just learning too, but I know what they'll do. They'll be just like, what's this shit? And they'll throw it out. So I must put a note on it. Do not throw this out. Donate it to the Spinners and Weavers group, or donate it to someone that's interested in spinning. Don't just burn it or throw it out. It's worth money to someone, or if not money, they can use it in their own craft. The saddest thing when people die is the kids don't know what things are for and they toss it out. Do you know I did that? I'm so angry with myself. I tossed out, when I was going through my mother's stuff, a very expensive mitre jig, which is used for, you put the sterling silver wire and cutting it at certain angles and having it perfectly straight. I didn't know what it was, so I chucked it out. And then another thing I chucked out, that when I found out how much it cost to buy, when I had to buy it myself, I was livid with myself, was Renaissance wax. It's like $50 for a tiny, tiny little container. Didn't know what it was for, so I tossed it. But to be fair, we didn't have a lot of time to sit and work out what everything was for, and I had no idea. I was just under pressure because the public trustee initially said we had 3 weeks to sort Mum's stuff and take the chattels, and then suddenly after 1 week they said, no, you've got to get out now. So I was livid. That was vicious too, undermining. But anyway, in the end we were in a frantic hurry to get, the chattels out in time, keep what we wanted to keep, and having to make very quick decisions of what we didn't want, what we did want, and what a nightmare that was. Bloody hell. But anyway, I do remember chucking out that mitre jig, because later on when I was doing silversmithing and I learnt about what it was and what it was for, it was like, my God, they're like $300, and I just tossed it, not knowing what it was back in the day. So yes, I need to put little notes on things for my kids if God forbid something should happen to me, that I can say, don't toss it, this is worth such and such, and you use it for such and such and such, which I will have to do even with my spinning stuff, because they'll have no freaking idea. No idea at all. Is that idiot putting that trailer next to that? Is he going to tie it? My arsehole neighbour, is he going to tie that trailer to the Energex thing again? I hope not, because if he is, I'll do what I did during the cyclone and I'll report it. He really is a crazy mofo. No, he's driving off. I don't know what that was about. I guess he was just checking something. He would have seen me open the curtain, look at him, and frown. He really is a psycho. He used to be okay, that man, once upon a time. It's gone nuts since the 5 years ago. It's tragic. Anyway, at the end of the day, not my monkey, not my circus, and I just hope he stays away from me, because he's just crazy. He is parked in front of my house. He obviously doesn't know what to do with himself. Anyway. Right, we'll continue reading Man, Myth and Magic, and we are up to Amulet. An object worn or carried to ward off evil or to attract good luck. Usually a jewel, a stone, or a piece of metal or parchment inscribed with magical signs. And I have an amulet too, actually, on my mirror that was gifted to me for my engagement by my stepfather, Case. How can I show it to you? Wrong way. It's the mirror's got a picture of Mooka, I think, autumn on it, and you can't see it, it's blurred out, but on the bottom of the mirror I have 2 amulets, 2 Kabbalistic amulets. One was made for me by my friend Jared, who's pagan, which I always smile about. He's such a wonderful friend. And the other was made for me by my Jewish friend, who's a Kabbalist and an anthropologist, Dr. John Bradley. So, and they literally block any negativity or evil on that mirror, and they've been there for years now, many years. Occasionally one of the amulets will flutter down and fall off, and number two straight away puts it right back up there. I'm very superstitious about my amulets, and they're precious to me because they're not just amulets but they're little works of art, because you know, as I said, Jared made one and John made the other, and they're very much cherished to this day. When I look at them, I have happy memories of both those men. I mean, I haven't seen John Bradley in, since what, 2002, 2003. His family moved back to Echuca, I think it was. I don't know where they are now. So it was many years ago. But, you know, I look at it and I think about him, his heartfelt intentions to protect me and bless me with a better life. And, well, John and Nona and, you know, your beautiful family, wherever you are, it's taken 22 years since I last saw you, but Mama T's finally getting better and healing from a lot of her traumas, although got freshly activated recently by some ugliness we won't go into again. And but I'm healing and creative and making jewellery now, and I hope you're proud of me, John, because John was a wonderful artist. He actually used to inspire me back in the day. He inspired me with his soapstone sculptures, which he had the most beautiful chess set that he hand carved in soapstone, all the Lord of the Rings figurines, and interestingly, he envisaged them perfectly from the book because they looked just like the characters in Peter Jackson's movie. When I saw it, I said, "You've done a marvellous job, John." He said, "I just followed the descriptions of the book, Tanya." I went, "True that, you know." Wonderful artist. Another thing he made that actually I was a little bit covetous of, like, I don't get envious of my friends very often. I think envy and jealousy is such a evil, empty, ugly emotion, but every now and then I'd get little tweaks of what passed for a bit of envy because of his skillmanship and his knowledge as an artist and as a woodworker. And he made this most beautiful, there were several things that he made that I was really impressed with. He'd made this beautiful teak, which is carved out of timber, like a container to keep a Torah scroll in, which he used to bring to various Jewish functions. I think he showed it off at Women's Zionist Organisation, Women's International Zionist Organisation. I'd seen it before because I'd seen it at his home, but I was so proud of him showing off that beautiful teak that he carved himself. Every time I felt like I'm not his mother, I'm younger than him, but there was this feeling of pride like a mother has. And then he'd look at me and see this look of pride in my face as if he was, you know, taking pride in his artistic abilities. And I think he loved that. He could see I genuinely admired his artistry, his abilities. Brilliant man. And a decent man. Like, don't get me wrong, nothing sus. Wasn't in love with him or anything sordid, but I really fangirled him with his art. It was amazing, and it was a good influence on me back in the day, because in those days I was just trying not to die all the time. I'm not very motivated, and I'm heavy psych med, so my contributions to art were quite limited actually. Wasn't doing much at all back in the day. But he inspired me with those soapstone sculptures of Lord of the Rings chess sets, so I did buy some soapstone. Still haven't done anything with them, John. Oh, don't kill me. And oh yeah. Anyway, I segue. And the other thing that he'd made that I did have a little bit of envy for, because I just thought it was the most beautiful thing, was this wooden screen that he screened their back door with the whole back door. He carved 3 wooden panels, like probably with a jigsaw. I don't know how he did it. It was a lot of bloody work. It was done like all Moroccan, all tessellated. I think it was animals and birds. And I said, oh, I love that so much. And his wife, Nona, who was also a very talented, well, is also a very talented artist. They were both bloody brilliant. She didn't like me all that much, I don't think. I don't know why. Probably because I fangirled her husband. She thought I was after him or something like that. But I wasn't. I really wasn't. Should have known that. But anyway, I had a bit of a reputation in those days because I was on my own and single and young and therefore a threat. Didn't deserve the reputation I acquired either, really. There was only one small aberration that wasn't actually good. It wasn't actually my fault, that. Anyway, I won't go into details with that because it's too ugly and I'll get triggered. But anyway, they don't know the backstory of all of that, so it doesn't matter now after 25 years, does it? Only matters to me. But anyway, they used to look at me, some of the women, with real antipathy but you know, the Habibi Club as I used to nickname them, they were actually quite encouraging of me. They thought I was kind of cool and they used to kind of love me in a platonic way, nothing sus. And anyway, so I said to Nona, I said, oh, I just love that screen that John made. And she just went, oh yeah. And I was like, that's your husband and he's a brilliant bloody artist. Like, why aren't you more excited about it? I would love to have a husband that makes beautiful things for my home for me. Like, that's my idea of fucking heaven. Having a man who's creative and talented and artistic and, you know, makes beautiful things for my home. I would have loved that. Anyway, so I kept looking at this thing and I kept saying, oh, John, it's just so beautiful. And how did you do it? I wanted to know how he did it because I thought maybe I could learn how to do it. But I didn't want to ask him to teach me because that would involve being alone together for hours on end, and then his wife really would have been, you know, had something to be angry about. But I wish I had now because he would have happily taught me, I think, and it would have been completely innocent and sweet, and I would have had a skill like how to make that beautiful screen. Pisses me off sometimes how you have to worry about, you know, the gender wars and sex and all that shit comes in the way and ruins my creativity and my ability to succeed sometimes, worrying about what everyone bloody thinks when it was completely innocent. I really did admire his workmanship. Anyway, so if he's watching my videos, which is not likely, now you know, John, that's what I was fangirling about. I loved your services you used to do for us at Kadima, brilliant services. I used to ask him, can I keep, because he was a wonderful wordsmith, wonderful writer, can I keep that service? He'd look at me, yes, I have a photocopy. I kept one for years, I only recently threw it out, had a big declutter. Why am I keeping things from Jewish services from 25 years ago, from a man I'll never see again, and that whole family I'll never see again? It's ridiculous. Hoarding stuff from the past and holding on to these cherished memories. But I still do. I mean, I tossed out the beautiful service, but I still hoard the memories of the wonderful times we had. Nona actually had the brilliant idea of organising with the, what are they called? The Quakers, Friends of something. and they had the most beautiful meeting place where they had their services. And she had the brilliant idea of hiring that space from them for the Jewish high holidays. How did she find out about that space? I think she did yoga there at times. Anyway, we hired that space for the Jewish New Year and Day of Atonement. And to you, Nona, like honestly, that was the most wonderful idea you had. So we would go and we would have our services there, our Kadima congregation. And they were the best Jewish New Year and Day of Atonement services I'd ever had in my entire life as a practicing Jew, because the view, people of Earth, you'd look out and they had windows all across, and you'd look out on the garden, beautiful bushland all around the Quakers' meeting house, the building that they had. And she said, you'll love it, Tanya. Well, I did love it. And then as sunset came at the end of Yom Kippur, we were all ravenous because we were all fasting for 24 hours, being observant. And when the sun came and the light changing in the bush and the gardens, I think it was one of the most spiritual, beautiful experiences of my life. So, to you, Nona Cameron, Cameron Bradley. So you see, I don't have antipathy to them at all, but there was just some weirdness. There was just some weirdness from time to time. I don't know what that was about. Probably other people gossiping and being malicious. So anyway, I still remember that. That's a happy memory. Those really spiritual, prayerful, holy, soul-nourishing services in that space. That was the Quakers' meeting house. Strange but true. And, right. How did I get onto that subject, talking about John and Nona? Oh, amulets, right. Let us continue. We've gone back. Amulet was only that one little paragraph, and we've shown you a picture of what their amulet looks like, which that's what made me think of that wonderful carved out screens that John made, because it looked very Moroccan style like that. But, well, that kind of... Did it look Moroccan? Or am I remembering it wrong? Anyway, I know there were birds and animals, and it was just... Look, I'm still drooling over it, remembering it after all these many years. We're talking, what, 22 years, by the gods. 23 years. Anyway, so the next entry is called, and it's only a small paragraph one again, Anabaptists. Protestant revolutionaries of the 16th century, persecuted for rebaptizing converts from other Christian sects, produced many small splinter groups such as the Old Order Amish, numbers of whom emigrated to America, where they still adhere to traditional ways of life. See communistic religious movements or enthusiasm. And they've got a little tiny, what looks like a lino print there, some kind. Anabaptist Presbyterian, to show you the difference. That's delightful, people of Earth. Just delightful. Right. If you look at it more closely, it must be some kind of commentary on it, because you look at it close, there's a knife at her feet. He's holding his hands up in the air in surrender, and she's cut the head off some kind of doll puppet, which doesn't look like a very Amish thing to do, but You kind of have to laugh. Anyway. Right, the next entry is called Anandamayi Ma, is venerated in India for her ability to take on the appearance and personality of gods and goddesses, and also for her extraordinarily bodily contortions when in trance, sometimes bouncing up and down like a rubber ball. I've done that in my wild dancing at times when I'm in full trance. Bloody hell, my tea's gone cold. Right, let me read about Ananda Mayi Ma. Early one morning in spring 1896, a girl was born in a rural village named Kiora. Kiora? It's funny because in Māori we say Kiora, it means good luck and welcome, and yeah, it's similar kind of pronunciation, maybe, if I pronounced it right. Situated in what is now called East Pakistan. Her parents named her Nirmala Devi. She received no formal education, and as a child began to experience peculiar states of intense and brooding abstraction. As she grew older, these moods often developed into positive ecstasies of mystical exaltation. She was married at 13, and sometimes, while preparing meals for her husband, her consciousness would be slowly indrawn to such an extent that she became totally oblivious of her surroundings. By the time she was 18, it was felt by many who met her that her freshness and simplicity concealed a strange and unpredictable personality which seemed to come and go unaccountably. It was not long before the power that appeared to use her body as a vehicle through which to show itself was recognized as being not only charming and benignant, but also peculiarly solicitous and motherly in its attitude to those it attracted. Sounds a bit like my Mama T persona, doesn't it? Nirmala drew people to her by the sheer magnetism of this radiant and indwelling presence, and some people felt they discerned in her an embodiment of divinity. I'm not like that, don't get me wrong, I'm not conflating myself with that, but I just have this, as I described earlier, being proud of John's achievements and writings and services he prepared, and I really admired that man. I really genuinely admired him. And it was almost a mothering aspect. I mean, I'm sure he had his own mother, but it was that very maternal, I look at the things that this man's been able to achieve, and I wish I could achieve similar things. Not envy or jealousy in that sense, but just more having a positive role model to show me what's bloody possible, because in those days, as I said, I drilled and I shuffled because I was on heavy cyclings. I know, I wasn't so bad back in 2003. The drilling and shuffling got really bad by 2009 and 10 and that awful will dispute. But anyway, let's try not to think about it. Let's think happy thoughts, people of earth. I've done well to survive my own life, just saying. Among these was a saintly man named Baiji, or Baiji maybe, who became one of Nirmala's first devotees. He was the first to call her Anandamayi Ma, or blissful mother, the name by which she is now generally known throughout India and in many other countries. I've never heard of her before. Isn't that interesting? Most of the great mystics of whom we have reliable record are known to have spiritual guides, some of whom appeared in ordinary human form, and some not. Unlike them, however, Anandamayi Ma, or Mother as she is often called, claimed no direct initiation from a particular guru or spiritual guide. When asked about this, she said, "In my earlier years, my parents were my guides. In household life, my husband. And in all the situations of life, now, all persons and things of the world are my guru. But know it for certain, the one Supreme Being is the only guide for all." Humility and sweetness. She's right, you know. That is how it works. But I sometimes have a muse that came to me on the 27th of April, instructing me to make that pendant from Charlie's Beak, which that entity helped me find. That was a very intense day. And today I felt kind of not pressured or forced to make anything or do anything, but I also felt kind of surrounded by love and felt supported and encouraged. And although the jobs I did today were just silly little jobs of no real consequence really, I did feel a bit guided when I looked at my cutlery canteen that I'd inlaid years ago, and I wasn't happy with one of the little copper pipes jutting out. I thought it just looks unfinished. Again, another thing that needed tweaking and completion of some kind. So yes, I went and got the 2 beads that I previously made some years ago and drilled a hole in it to fit the pipe and glued it on. And that was another job I completed today. That part was guided because I had no intention actually of even looking at that, but I found myself walk over to it and stare at it and think, right, that's a little job I can do today. It didn't take very long, just, put they were quite large beads, so I put them in the vice that Peter gave me, another gift from Peter. Just some old vice. It's not a very good one, it's a bit worn out, but it did the job for what I wanted to use it for. Put the bead in that and put on the drill bit and got my drill ready and sorted and drilled the hole in it and put E6000 glue in it and glued it on. And another thing that I'm happy that I've completed to my satisfaction. I actually think they're all the little jobs that I did today that needed finishing off. I don't think there's any more jobs that need doing. Apart from I need to polish all my copper pots in the kitchen. They need, I use rust converter to get the tarnish off, and then I give them a bit of a scrub with fine steel wool, and then I wash them and hang them back up. That's an epic bloody task that takes 2 days sometimes. This is a lot. There's a lot of copper. Got so much copper in this house, it's actually quite comical. But copper represents Venus or Aphrodite and attracts love and positivity and joy and delight. So I like to have copper in the house. Anyway, that's another job that I have to do, but that's not a job that is incomplete. It's just something that regularly, regular maintenance that you need to do. And all my other brass and copper, I coated in Protector Clear, so I don't have to, constantly polish it anymore. And that, believe it or not, was a huge deal because that was a lot of work. The only one I haven't done is my little fox that's on the back door. He needs to be, polished up and then painted in Protector Clear. But anyway, he's the only one that got forgotten, missed out. And I can't put Protector Clear on the cooking pots because, it wouldn't. I don't think you can, because when you put it on the gas stove, and the heat would damage it anyway. So no, they'll have to just be polished up the old-fashioned way. Anyway, where was I? Distracted again. By the gods. Been too long on my own today. I could go dancing this evening. Ramjack are playing at Fitzy's at 8 o'clock. But by then I'll be tired because I've had a busy day doing all my little odd jobs. And I'm also pulling back on my energies, not wanting to go every single week, just going when I feel motivated and excited about life and ready to get out there and shake my patootie, you understand. And something which is probably unprecedented among Indian holy sages. Anandamayi Ma says she has not undergone any previous births, which means that she does not claim to be the outcome and final flowering of a series of human incarnations in which she has striven to arrive at spiritual perfection. On the contrary, she has stated on various occasions that she has appeared on earth as the direct result of the profound yearning for God on the part of certain individuals who, in their ardour to know God and realise their spiritual identity with the Supreme Being, have caused that Supreme One to respond and assume human form. It is a tenet of Oriental belief, particularly in India, that such yearning creates a similar yearning in the Supreme Being, and because of the limitations of his devotees, he, the Supreme, shows himself to their external senses in a seemingly human embodiment. This manifestation of divinity is not confined in Anandamayi Ma to the appearance of a single human embodiment. Whichever god or goddess has been worshipped intensely by any of her devotees, that particular image or aspect of divinity appears to them to play through Mother's form. The spectral semblance of one deity after another has been seen by them to flow out of her being, each image the perfect original of some traditionally recognized God form. Kali, Krishna, Shiva, Brahma, it matters not which aspect of divinity. Its form duly appears when Mother enters one of her moods of mystical ecstasy. She once said, "The personality and figures of gods and goddesses are as real as your body or mine." A vision of Kali. Sometime in 1925, while in Dhaka, about 200 miles northeast of Calcutta, Mother was asked to perform Kali Puja, the worship of the image of Kali. During preparations for the ceremony, which required an image of the goddess, flowers, incense, and sandal paste, by that they mean sandalwood, not sandals that you wear on your feet, you understand. Just thought I'd clarify that. Mother saw about 130 yards distant the ethereal form of the actual goddess floating in the air towards her, with hands outstretched as if eager to come to Mother's lap. Later another apparition appeared to Mother as a little girl of infinite sweetness. This also was Kali, she said. Before we continue reading, I'll just show you the photograph of her which appears here. Ananda Maya Mayi Ma, her devotees believe that the Supreme Being has shown himself to them on earth in her apparently human form. And right Indian print of Kali, goddess of time, holding symbols of war, raising one hand in peace and grasping for power with the fourth. Ananda Mayi Ma believed she saw Kali once floating in the air and once as a little girl of infinite sweetness. So here's Ananda Mayi Ma, very attractive looking woman. And here's Kali, Kali Ma as they call her. I need to heat up that tea, I'm a bit thirsty. During the rite itself, the celebrants not only noticed the unusual effect which these occult experiences had upon Mother, but they were also swept by a wave of bliss which so engulfed them that they lost consciousness of externals. Each felt divine emotion greater than had been experienced when the ceremony was performed by priests. In earlier years, during the celebration of kirtan, religious chanting and dancing, Mother would often go into a state of trance during which her body underwent the most amazing contortions. Just get scammers from as I suspected. Oh, I find that annoying. Scammers from Instagram. Always block and delete them. Don't bother messaging me, telling me how wonderful my content and you're promoting this and that. You just immediately, the stuff gets put in the rubbish bin. Boom, bam, boom, babies. Hate time wasters. Absolutely hate that with a passion. I'm a cranky old mother, aren't I? Cranky old mama T. I really should go dancing. I really should. But anyway, I won't because I'll overdo it and then I'll pay for it tomorrow. Who am I trying to impress? No one. No one but no one but no one but my own self. I'll just clear all these messages. By the gods. Right. Sorry about that, got distracted. She would often go into a state of trance during which her body underwent the most amazing contortions. Freak me out, I guess. Her devotees claimed that her body, rolling on the ground, would appear to grow unusually large and then, as suddenly, contract almost to nothing. At other times, Her body behaved as if it were boneless, bouncing up and down like a rubber ball. These and similar powers are mentioned in certain statements and manuals of yoga, particularly the Shiva Samhita, where they are listed under the 8 siddhis or magic powers that may be developed by yoga practice. But since Mother did not practice yoga, it was claimed that these supranormal powers manifested themselves in response to the thoughts and emotions of her devotees, being, so to speak, the visible outer tokens of intense inner devotion. On one occasion, a devotee of Anandamayi Ma said to her in all good humour, "You are credited with great power. If you have such power, just burn me to ashes." He then set out to return to his own home. Excuse me. It was an extremely hot day, and he had put up his umbrella. Anandamayi Ma suddenly decided to join him, and they walked a few paces together. The devotee then became conscious of a fierce and unbearable heat beating down on him, despite the umbrella. He panicked and said, "From where is the fire raining down on my head? Please stop the fire. I have ample proof of your power." He lowered the umbrella just as the overpowering heat abated, but he noticed that some of the fabric had been consumed, as if by flame. She was the real deal. I love it. I love it a lot. To you, Anandamayi Ma. Anandamayi Ma is famous throughout India for her untiring devotion to the poor and the helpless. She has helped many homeless and starving people. To that, I also send you kisses and salutations. She teaches that knowledge of God alone constitutes true knowledge, that God alone is real, all else unreal. Sounds a bit like the universe is a hologram theory. She's onto something there. And that by knowing God, one comes to a knowledge of all else besides. Amen to that. Not that I know God all that much. Well, I have moments when I know that energy and moments when I'm pretty upset with that energy for giving me such an evil and difficult life. But regardless, I still have faith in that energy, so I guess I do know him, her, or it, or as I lovingly refer to that energy as she, he, or it, which that acronym makes she, it, and that's just my tongue-in-cheek way of stirring up God. But God knows me. He knows me well. He's tested me well many, many times. Vomited me back to earth many, many times. So I know more than most not to push it too far. Not to trifle with the gods like that man telling her to burn him to ashes, and verily she almost did. Be careful who you disparage and try to humiliate, try to make look small in front of your friends. Don't know who has their back at the end of the day. Just saying. Not that I'm anything like Ananda Mayi Ma, could only dream of that. But I know well what happens when you're evil and cruel to people who've done nothing but love you. Not good, people of Earth. Not good at all. See you next life, big boy. What did I joke about in one of my videos? I'll be the musician next time. I'll be the married musician next time. No. Hopefully our contracts are well and truly severed and we can move on and joy and delight and bliss with the people who really do love us and without acrimony or evil attached to it. Blessed be on your way and blessed be on my way, and never the twain shall meet again. How do they put it in Scotland? Ah, yes. I'll take the high road and you'll take the low road, and I'll be in Scotland afore ye. For ye and my true love will never meet again on the bonny, bonny banks of Loch Lomond. And anyway, I'll probably never get to Scotland either. I'm not going anywhere fast, but I'm tying up all my loose ends and finishing off all my little projects around the house and have everything perfect to my own satisfaction. So I don't know what that's about, people of Earth. Just making good use of my time, keeping myself happy and preoccupied and busy, and not thinking of all the bastards that tried to grind me down. C'est la vie, babies. In 1931, Baiji decided upon a site for the construction of an ashram, or place of worship, centering round Mother, where her devotees could meet together, receive her blessing, and conduct divine service in her name. I've got an itchy ankle. It's a strange thing to start itching in the middle of this reading. Shh, ankle biter. It's a bit like that, isn't it? I mean, you have to laugh. It's a bit funny. It's a little bit funny. This feeling inside. Something, got nothing to hide. Oh, I can't remember the lyrics. Never mind. I'm having a little bit of a post-traumatic exhaustion breakdown. It's like that, people of Earth. I don't take it seriously myself anymore. Too old, too tired of the bullshit. Just laugh and dance and perchance and carry on where I left off. Where was that? Don't know. That's right. In 1931, Baiji decided upon a site for a construction of an ashram, or place of worship, centering around Mother, where her devotees could meet together, receive her blessing, and conduct divine service in her name. When a trench was dug so that foundations could be laid, 4 or 5 tombs were uncovered. They each contained a human skeleton, and Mother declared these to be the mortal remains of sannyasis, saints or holy men, who had once formed a community which had been housed on that particular site. One of them, she said, had been Baiji himself in a former incarnation. Since the establishment of that first Ananda Mayi Ma ashram in Dhaka, More than 20 others have been built by devotees in Mother's name. Written by Kenneth Grant. Right. When was she born? 1896. Trying to work out if she'd still be alive, but that wouldn't be possible, and she's well over 100, and no, she couldn't possibly be still alive. It doesn't say when she passed. Shall we Google it, just out of curiosity? For some reason I want to know when she passed. Right, where are we? Google is my friend. Hello, Google. Ananda Ma Yi Ma. See what they come up with. Died 27th of August 1982. So she lived to 86, which is a good long innings. Right. There's a documentary on her called Ma and Me, the Ananda Ma documentary. I might actually try and find that later. That might be interesting. Anyway, there you go. Learned something today. Learned something today. It's all very interesting. Right, the next entry is called Anunce or Anunce, spider trickster of West Africa, hero of many fables in which he cleverly deceives animals, men, and even God himself. The stories were taken to the West Indies by Negro slaves. And then they've given us a picture of what looks like a tarantula, but it's green. Look at it. A green tarantula. And the picture on this side is of what looks like a totem pole. And it says, veneration of dead forebears who are believed are ancestor worship, is the entry. Veneration of dead forebears who are believed to see and influence events on earth, and to whom prayers and offerings are made by their descendants, still an important element of religious belief in many parts of the world. Right. Below we have another entry, anchor. In early Christian symbolism, an emblem of salvation and hope, partly because it stands for security and partly because it is shaped like a cross, which was often depicted upside down to emphasize its resemblance to the cross. Right. And then the next one is anchorite. Originally a Christian who abandoned human company and the clamour of the world to live alone and silent in a cell attached to a church, later used more generally as another word for a hermit. See also self-denial. Right, so here's a picture of a lady standing next to an anchor. And here's a picture, I don't know what that's meant to be. I can't see an anchorite, can you? Just looks like, I don't know what that is. Someone being plagued by demons or nightmares or something like that. Anyway. So there's a woman about to give birth there, with a really swollen tummy, and can't quite make it out actually. Well, anyway, let me just see how long the next entry is. Right, we'll read one more and then I'll call it a night, people of Earth, because I'm getting rather tired. It's only 7:03 p.m, but I've been getting very tired by about 7 p.m. each evening, which is not like me. I'm normally, normally a late bird, so I'm going through some kind of change or shift or metamorphosis. It's probably why I want my house in order. I'll be getting ready for some new stage of life that I haven't even dreamed of yet. I'm not saying I'm going to die or anything weird like that, but I don't know. Maybe I meet someone or start some new project, or I don't know. I really don't know. But I know I'm nesting and getting ready and preparedness, so I've known that for weeks actually. Right, this entry is called, Angels. The angel who weighs souls at the Last Judgment, a detail from the medieval Psalter of St. Louis. It is a member of that family of wondrous beings who, ere the worlds were made, millions of ages back, have stood around the throne of God and served him with a keen, ecstatic love. Cardinal Newman, The Dream of Gerontius. Here's a picture of one weighing balance in the balance. Judgment, I guess. I'm very fond of angels. Very fond of angels. I have an angel who's very fond of me, I think. Certainly comes to save me at the 11th hour without fail. So, to you, my angel, my messenger of God, my protector, my protector more than anything else. In Jewish and Christian theory, angels are God's courtiers and are sent as messengers and helpers to men and women and children, sometimes to animals as well. They are usually described, someone just yelled out, "Thank you for acknowledging that, Tanya. You're welcome, my angel." You see? They know that I know. They are usually described as beneficial winged creatures and sometimes said to be of enormous height, as in the case of an angel, of a female angel, 96 miles high. The angel that some woman in the Irish Murphy's pub many years ago when I used to frequent there, would have been around 2014, that she saw with me, she said, "He's 9 feet tall, he's enormous. Why can't you see him?" I said, "Never seen him." But she says, "You know he's there though, don't you?" I said, "Most definitely I know he exists and that he's here with me. I can feel him, I just can't see him." She said, "My God is beautiful and he's enormous." "Who are you?" she asked me. I said, "Just your average God botherer." Tried to make light of it because it was freaking me out actually how she reacted. It's not my fault. I had an angel with me. It was necessary at the time. There wasn't that much bloody danger in that filthy rape den, that pub. Filthy it was. Don't get me started on that. I will never ever forgive them. Ever. To my dying day. Even if I have angels. Certain things even they can't make me forgive. So there is that. Anyway. Angels. Behind the pasteboard Christmas card angel and the stylized angels of many Christian hymns, there lies a long tradition. The term angel, from the Latin angelus, entered the English language in very early times when it denoted a supernatural being with kindly qualities. I wouldn't upset an angel though if I were you. You'll find exactly how unkindly they can be. Angels of wrath and vengeance. It's a real thing, people of earth. It can go either way. But they allow me my free will and they understand why there are certain human entities to this day that I refuse to forgive and for what reasons, and that's my spiritual blocks and my karma. I completely understand why I am and who I am more than any other mortal. Blessed be the Holy One, the true judge. In the Bible, it translates Hebrew and Greek words meaning messenger. It first appears in the Old Testament in the phrase angel of the Lord, the title given to the divine messenger who told Hagar that she would give birth to Ishmael, Genesis chapter 16. It is significant that Hagar identifies the angel with the Lord himself. Evidently the writer believed that when God wishes to make his will known to man, he can assume a visible human form and can speak. Why not? It's God after all, omniscient, omnipotent, all-powerful, all-loving, all-forgiving, unlike this little humanoid in this short, fat human body with my preternatural rage. But there's been some awful things done to me in my lifetime, especially in childhood, and a repeat pattern of men that I love dearly being vicious too. And so there's a lot that I could burn out another organ out of my body like I did with my gallbladder. So I won't. You've taken so much from me, my enemies. You're not getting any more of my organs. Just saying. You can just kiss off into the air behind my back. I know you stare. It's not bad. You do it all the time. How does that song go? Violent thumbs, you see? Synchronicity, babies. This will go down on your permanent record. Do you think that I'm impressed? Not. I won't be suppressed either, or oppressed, or depressed because of malignant, low entity, COVIDian poisoned, calamari in their brain, vicious, trickster spirits who thought they would play with me as a lonely, vulnerable woman. Mamati has spoken. It is significant that Hagar identifies the angel with the Lord himself. Evidently, I read that. Dear Goddess, let's move on from that. Sometimes you just need to move on, babies, while you're kissing them off. Sayonara, sweethearts. I know I am deeply and truly loved, though, by good, kind people, and I've named some of them today, tonight. And I know there are others that don't show their hand and don't lift their head up above the parapet for whatever reasons. They hide in the shadows, that still to this day though have my back, and I'm grateful for you too, although it would be nice to see a bit more courage and overt support. But if you have to work from the background to support me, I'm okay with that too. My angels are with me too. I'm not in this world as alone as you thought I was. You cowardly curs, my enemies. Just saying. Sometimes in the early accounts there was no visible appearance. The angel of the Lord calling from heaven restrained Abraham from killing Isaac, Genesis chapter 22, and was invisible to Balaam, though he was seen with his drawn sword by Balaam's ass, donkey. Sorry, had to clarify. Which repeatedly took evasive action till at last his rider's eyes were opened. Numbers chapter 22. It's funny, I mentioned that yesterday in the video. I was referencing the horror movie Drag Me to Hell and how I found it hilarious that everyone's terrified by a talking donkey. It's like, I'd love it if animals spoke to me. Actually, they do speak to me in their own non-verbal telepathic ways, but I mean, I'd love it if it was actually like Dr. Dolittle, where they could speak and you would know verbally immediately what they were saying, interpret it correctly. That would be so cool. I literally loved that movie when I was a kid. If you can talk to the animals, walk with the animals, and so on and so forth. Communication, people of Earth. If you would just use your words and communicate, a lot of antipathy and evil and acrimony and hostility and putrescent rot could be avoided. I just have to shake my head. Anyway, communication is the key. It was the angel of the Lord who appeared to Moses in a flame of fire in the midst of a burning bush. Exhibit A. I don't have the angel in here, but a burning bush. When the angel of the Lord announced the conception of Samson, Shimshon, to the wife of Manoah, she described him as a man of God whose countenance was like that of the angel of God, very terrible. Didn't appear as a shining, bright, beautiful light, but something scary, am I right? Again, he was not immediately recognized as an angel, but Manoah made a burnt offering, and when the flame went up toward heaven from the altar, the angel of the Lord ascended in the flame of the altar. Judges chapter 13. The most exalted use of the word angel in the Pentateuch, the first 5 books of the Bible, occurs in the blessing of Jacob, which equates the angel with God, Genesis chapter 48. The God before whom my fathers Abraham and Isaac walked. the God who shepherds me from my beginning to this day, the angel who, as my kinsman, saves me from all evil. Perhaps here the writer was reluctant to speak of God as a kinsman of Jacob and substituted angel for God in the third line. I think so too. One is wary of offending God as a mere mortal, am I right? Know before whom thou stand. Very important. Know your place in the known universe. People of earth and angels. The helpers of men. The role of angels in these early stories seems to have been connected with the views of theologians who recognized the need of human forms and voices to convey the presence of the unseen God. What is that man doing? Got a trolley full of stuff in a moving house? Surely not. Not that I care one way or the other. After that behaviour they did before the cyclone. Evil that was. Anyway. In these stories, it is through angels that divine help comes to men. Abraham could promise his servant, about to set out on his search for a wife for Isaac, that the Lord, the God of heaven, will send his angel with you and prosper your way. Genesis chapter 24. Jacob in his dream at Bethel saw a ladder set up on the earth, and the top of it reached to heaven. And behold, the angels of God were ascending and descending on it, almost as though their primary function was to take earthly news to heaven. Genesis chapter 28. In the historical books of the Old Testament, to the angels are ascribed power to discern good and evil, the wisdom that knows everything, and the certainty of choosing aright. Belief in the goodness of angels is attested by the writer of Job, when he gives as an extreme instance that God charges even his angels with error, chapter 4, and persists into New Testament times, as when it is said that the Jews in council saw Stephen's face like the face of an angel, in other words, illuminated. Acts chapter 6. Michael and Gabriel. In Daniel, the latest Old Testament book, a heavenly figure important in later doctrine about angels is introduced as Michael, one of the chief princes. Michael is described as your prince and the great prince who has charge of your people. Chapters 10 and 12. This is the earliest biblical evidence of the belief that certain angels had charge of certain nations. Another divine being named in the visions of Daniel, but also not called an angel, is Gabriel, who was sent to Daniel to interpret a vision. Afterwards, the man Gabriel came in swift flight to give Daniel wisdom and understanding, chapters 8 and 9. Seraphim and cherubim are presented in the Old Testament as winged, but this flying man is the biblical basis for later presentations of angels wearing wings. Michael and Gabriel became important in later thought as angelic leaders. In Revelation, Michael leads the angels against the devil in the war in heaven. Origins of angels. The beginnings of the biblical belief in angels must be sought in very early folklore. Our stories come from what are regarded as the early Pentateuchal sources, the later writers in the Pentateuch making no mention of angels. The courts of the great kings of the Near East also were a model for the idea of a heavenly court. The gods of the Hittites and Canaanites had their supernatural messengers, and parallels to Old Testament stories of angels are found in Near Eastern literature. In the Old Testament, the functions of angels are to worship God and attend on Him, standing ready to do His will. They announce coming prosperity or destruction, guard holy places, and guide and protect individuals and peoples. They manifest no personality separate from the God whose message they bear. They appear unsummoned, perform their appointed task, and vanish. After the Old Testament period, many Jewish writings such as Ecclesiasticus ignore angels, but others give them prominence. In Tobit, Raphael guides I don't even know what that is. Let me read that again. In Tobit, Raphael guides Tobias throughout his adventure. More details are given about angelic intercession for men and their control of nations. Many more angels have personal names. They are organized in ranks and are assigned the new function of controlling nature and the stars. Here we have a picture. Muslims pray only to God, but also ask angels to intercede with God on their behalf. Mohammedan dwellers in the presence of God, from a Turkish manuscript, which is now in the British Museum. Try and get my camera to focus people there. Focus. I'll read the blurb below before I continue as well. Wing measurements. Crawford H. Greenewald, in his book Hummingbirds, considers how large an angel's wings would need to be, assuming a weight of about 150 pounds. The wing from wrist to tip would be about 4 feet long, its total length between 6 and 7 feet. When folded neatly into the body, the end of the wing would come just below the knee, comfortable enough for perching and walking. The wings would beat about once every second, a nice easy rhythm. I can hear an angel in the background, entity in it, laughing hysterically. I can hear them go, as if they're saying, well, that's just in my imagination, but it's very distinct. But anyway, let's carry on. You can have your little jokes, if you are an angel, I don't know. I'm only reading what they're presenting here. Don't shoot the messenger, as they say. Literally, please don't shoot me with your angelic spears and knives and arrows, especially that fat little cherub that keeps making me fall in love with sadistic and unavailable men. Dear goddess, had a lifetime of that bullshit. It's time that ended. Right, now I've had my little vent and off gas, I'll be right to carry on with the story, won't I? By the gods, literally, by the gods. He's coming. Oh, whatever, you've been telling me that for 60 bloody years too. The wings would beat about once every second, a nice easy rhythm, not too far from a normal walking pace. The wings would, however, be heavy, perhaps a quarter the weight of the body. They just yelled out, that part's true. And alas, here lies the rub. The human frame hasn't the pectoral muscles to drive such formidable gear. Human pectorals are barely 5% of the total body weight, and a reasonable aerial job would call for at least 15%. That's why when you see angels, they always have really amazing abs, babies. That was me. I threw that, but that wasn't, whoever that was. Take responsibility for my own humour at times. Right, we continue on. They're giggling too. Yes, all right, fine and dandy. Just keep fake and false men away from me for the rest of my life, please, because I'm done. I'm done with the evil bullshitters. Stealing and feeding off my energy and shoving their floozies in my face. Same pattern as that Dave Charles from fucking 10, 12 years ago. It's disgusting is what it is. Anyway, what can I say? Angels and Jesus. Do not be at war, little one. The one who loves you is coming. Honestly, I take no notice of it. If I did, I'd go crazy. I really would. Shh. Holding on by a thread some days. But a mummy I kind of think there's somebody coming. Maybe not in the next, year or so. It might take some more 5, 10 years, but then I'll be dancing with death permanently. But anyway, because I've been getting my house ready as if I'm going to not be here anymore. It's a bit odd. So maybe the one that is coming is literally the Holy One coming to take me at long last, and because I'm not destined to be in a loving partnership with a human man ever. Maybe that's the reality, people of Earth. You just have to shuck off all the evil and the spiteful ones and the malignant ones and the vicious ones, and just live in our own little Titania's realm with my smart-ass joking angels in the background, and just be happy no matter what, no matter who. It's not a bad way to be, really. Right. In the New Testament, as clearly as in the Old, God may choose to communicate with man through an angel, although I don't understand why when he could just communicate directly. Guess so as not to scare you and have that full-on encounter. Moshe Avinu had to hide his face under the rocks, you know. God passed over, remember that. But that just fuels my belief that it was an extraterrestrial encounter. You know, like the cargo cults, they just worship that entity as the supreme being. That's not to say there is not a supreme being, I'm just saying I have a kind of a notion that Judaism and Christianity and Islam, we've all been worshipping a lesser entity. It's not the actual one. We've worshipped something that visited this earth and had technology. Anyway, I don't know whether it comforts me to know that or whether it scares me to know that I've been banking on the wrong energy all my life, but banking, not literally banking on, but you know what I mean, putting faith in the wrong entity all my life. But if I have done, whoever that entity is, has kept me alive against all odds, probably for their own entertainment. It's a bit frightening and astonishing if I look at it from zooming right out at the big picture. It's crazy making. So we won't think about that, people of Earth. We won't think about all the foul men that came into my life, faking love and sweetness in the beginning and then turning so cruel for their own agendas, hoping to destroy me. We won't think about that. I have good men in my life and I can name them. I know who they are. And the rest don't actually matter. How does that song by Metallica go? Nothing else matters. Babies. It is interesting that at the beginning of the first Gospel there appears in Joseph's dream an angel of the Lord, telling him of the conception of Jesus, Matthew chapter 1, reminding us of the ancient story of Manoah and Judges. An angel of the Lord announced Jesus' birth to shepherds on the Bethlehem hills, Luke chapter 2. Gabriel, whom we have already met as the man coming in swift flight to Daniel, is now an angel standing in the presence of God, sent to announce to Zechariah in the temple the conception of John the Baptist, and 6 months later to Mary at Nazareth to announce the conception of Jesus. So that makes John the Baptist 6 months older than Jesus was. And yet he baptized Jesus, didn't he? Oh, interesting. I didn't realise they were so close in age. Again, in the Old Testament, individual angels bring help to men. Yes, they do. They've greatly helped me in my times of really life-threatening, terrifying, chilling, awful tribulations. Many, many times. I'm sure If you're watching this, you can think of at least one occasion where an angel might have helped you too. I'm sure I'm not special in any, profound way. We're all gifted in some way, a longer continuance on this planet than we thought we were going to have, and miraculous interventions at times. The warm interest of angels in man's welfare is vividly expressed in the saying of Jesus that there is joy before the angels of God over one sinner who repents. Luke chapter 15. And that children have their guardian angels standing as favoured envoys near to God himself. Matthew chapter 18. Such beliefs are part of angelology, which shows a steady development since its presentation in the later books of the Old Testament. Some trace Babylonian and Persian influence on this development, but it must be remembered that the angels of Zoroastrianism were abstract principles, and this quite unlike the messenger angels of the Old Testament. Others see in the number 7, which often recurs in Jewish and Christian angelology, the influence of Assyrian beliefs in 7 planetary gods. But in any case, there is firm evidence in the New Testament of Jewish traditions existing after the period of the Old Testament writings. It is through Jewish Christians that angelology, based on the Old Testament and other Jewish writings, entered the teaching of the Church. Angels were set over the life of nature and over human communities. God was Israel's portion, but Michael was her protector, taught her Hebrew, and gave the law on Sinai. Every individual has his guardian angel, and babies exposed or aborted were cared for by guardian angels. There continued to be angelic intercessors and messages of revelation or warning, but further functions were more specialized. There was an angel of repentance who brought to man consciousness of sin and the promise of forgiveness, and an angel of peace received the soul as it left the body and bore it to paradise. Although mine keeps slipping me back to earth, and I don't know why. Why would you keep dropping me here? Why am I forced to endure in this incarnation after 16 near deaths? So much enmity and hatred still around me, so much evil. Why are you doing this to me, angels and the Holy One? It's a rhetorical question. They'll never tell me till I finally die for real next time. All the time after that. All the time after that. The angel of death in Sheol was a good angel and guardian of souls. I actually believe in that. The angel of death is kind and merciful and takes you for that last gentle tango into the void. I like that idea anyway. Good and bad angels of light and darkness, all were under God's control. The seven heavens. I can feel someone calling me, not calling me verbally, not yelling in my ear, but I can feel someone wishing that I was present. And I'm trying to work out who it is and what that's about. I have a fairly good idea, actually, but it's you see me keep looking around. It's someone's trying to draw me to them. And there's a wonderful invention. It's called Facebook Messenger or the telephone. You want to communicate with me, you may do so, but communicate in contemporary traditional ways. Don't make demands on my spirit or my time, invade my spirit body and my energy. I find that very, very boundary violating, actually. I wonder if that person that does that, if they're conscious of it or not. I've often wondered that. Do they know what they're doing? And I decide where I go, when I go, who I share sacred space with, and who I give to my time and my energy and my dance to. It's a decision I make. If you wanted me in a certain space or place, you need to communicate with that to me in words and actions. Not pulling at my energy, pulling, almost like a pulling with my strings. It feels like someone almost begging. Don't beg me, because then I'll hold you in contempt. Don't beg either. Just be factual. Ring me up. Tanya, I'd like you to be at such and such a place and join with us and participate. And I'll be like, okay, I'm happy to do so. Depending on the person and the situation, of course. But use your words. You have a mouth and a brain and 2 ears. Use them. Use them or lose them, babies. Right, where were we? The 7 heavens. Angelic rank was associated with speculation about the universe, which increased to 7 or 8, the 3 heavens known to St. Paul. All these were thought to be above the firmament where fallen angels were imprisoned, and all were inhabited exclusively by angels. The lower heavens by those in charge of human affairs, the upper by angels of the presence. According to some speculation, these heavens were successive stages through which souls must pass, encountering their guardian angels to whom account, must be given. Corresponding to the 7 heavens were 7 archangels, this number sometimes including Christ and sometimes being additional to him. Angels continued to be given superhuman status, but were clearly distinguished from God. They were God's first creation, formed from fire. They were sometimes described, that should more accurately be mentioned as plasma, really. Plasma, not fire, but Oh well. They were sometimes described as of enormous height, symbolic of their greatness. In the Gospel of Peter, the heads of the two angels who bore Christ's body to heaven actually touched the skies, and the Alcasaites, an unorthodox Christian sect, knew of two angels, one of them female, 96 miles high. The early Christian church was helped by concepts of angelology to formulate its doctrine of the Trinity, and especially of the nature and work of Jesus the Christ. By some writers, Michael was equated with Word and Son, and Gabriel with Spirit, and the angel of the Spirit who entered Mary and became flesh. But from the 5th century, care was taken to avoid any heretical doctrine that Jesus was only an angel and subordinate to the Father. Through the Middle Ages, speculation continued in angelology, and there was even learned argument as to how many angels could dance on the point of a pin. In modern theological thought, angels still present concepts of pure spirits without physical bodies, or mirrors of God's mind and will. Belief in them remains in varying degrees an article of faith, but speculations as to their origin and nature, and interpretation of human experiences of their help, are still matters of considerable debate. Throughout the centuries, there have been accounts of angelic visitations to the Celtic saints, the young Joan of Arc, and the soldiers at Mons. Angels were sung of in carols and represented in illuminated manuscripts, sculpture, and stained glass. It is consistent with the biblical record that Hamlet, confronted by his father's ghost, cries, "Angels and ministers of grace, defend us!" And when he is killed, Horatio exclaims, "Flights of angels, sing thee to thy rest." Angels are figures of light. It was because of the fairness of the English boys in the Roman slave market that Pope Gregory said that the angels had faces of angels, and Bunyan liked to call them shining ones. The kindly angels of the Old Testament are behind Crashaw's description of the heavenly welcome to Saint Teresa. Angels, thy old friends, there shall greet thee, glad at their own home now to meet thee. As long as the biblical record continues to be known and loved, the term angel will still be used for a figure coming unsummoned bringing from God revelation directly affecting the life of the one who receives her. That's how it works, people of earth. That's how it works. For the fallen angels see demons and or devil, written by J.M. Schofield. Further reading, Gustav Davidson, Dictionary of Angels, published by Macmillan in 1967. And I think we'll stop there. We've got another very long entry which we will begin tomorrow. Animals. My hands are very sore tonight. Must have been from holding the Dremel while I was grinding that piece of metal down, but I'm very contented. Very, very contented. I'm grateful to God and all manifestations of holiness, to the gods, to the ancestors that love me, to the angels, to the good folk, and to my true and noble and loving friends out there in the world. Grateful for you all. Grateful for my remnant family. Grateful for the breath. Grateful for the creativity. Grateful for the healing. Grateful for all the miracles and magic still yet to unfurl in this 3D reality, the becoming. And on that note, I bid you good evening. The time is now 7:55 p.m. on the 31st of May 2025, Saturday, and as always, Goddess bless us all. Amen. Bismillah. Good night to you all. Bye for now.